Hi, my name's Riley Jones. I am a graduate student at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, in Daniel Thompson's lab, and I would like to thank the American Conifer Society for funding my PhD research. We are here in the Spring Mountains, just outside of Las Vegas, and this is not what you think of when, you hear outside of Las Vegas. And that's because the Spring Mountains are a beautiful example of a sky island ecosystem. So because the Spring Mountains are much higher in elevation, we are basically in a conifer forest instead of the typical desert that you would think of. This includes getting snow. It is the end of March, and we have a delightful snowpack this year, which is going to feed the high elevation plants up here for pretty much the rest of the summer. The snowpack is really important up here to providing that long release water for these plants. So right now, we are standing in what I would consider the transition zone between a ponderosa pine dominated forest and a kind of mixed conifer forest, where all of the conifer species that we find up here can be found, and no one species is dominating. So the conifers that we do have up here, and the ones that I am studying, are the ponderosa pine, as I mentioned, the single-leaf pinyon pine, which is found at slightly lower elevations, the limber pine, which is a high-elevation pine, and the Great Basin bristlecone pine, which is endemic to the Great Basin region of the United States. So what I'm studying is the mutualism between these pines and an important animal disperser, the Clark's nutcracker. Clark's nutcrackers are a species of corvid, so closely related to jays, ravens, crows, all of your really smart birds. And nutcrackers feed on these pine seeds. They have this special adaptation called a sublingual pouch that lets them carry a bunch of pine seeds all at once. And they act similarly to squirrels or rodents, where they store these pine seeds in the ground in kind of this nice gravelly substrate for consumption later in the year, all throughout the winter and into next fall when the seeds are available again. So they are a well-known mutualist of what are called bird-dispersed pines, for obvious reasons, the single-leaf pinyon and the limber pine. These pines have really large seeds, similar to the size of a cherry pit. And so they are very attractive to the birds. Whereas our wind-dispersed pines, the ponderosa and the Great Basin bristlecone, have much, much smaller seeds. In fact, the bristlecone seeds are the size of a flax seed. And so they have a wing membrane that allows the seed to catch the wind and kind of ride those currents away from the parent plant. However, nutcrackers are known to forage on ponderosa pine and are theorized to forage on bristlecones. So part of my research is looking at where the nutcrackers are dispersing these seeds, how that might play a role in natural higher elevation migration in response to climate change, and in what proportion the nutcrackers prefer to forage on these trees, since they do have different traits that make them essentially more or less efficient to forage on. Now I am going to take you over to the South Sister Mountain, which is over in Lee Canyon, so that I can show you what a mixed conifer forest up here looks like and show you all of the different trees that I study. So this area is incredibly beautiful, and I just wanted to point out some of the conifer species that we have up here. So this guy with these incredibly long pine needles is a ponderosa pine, and right next to it is a limber pine. If we continue over this way, we have this tree right here. That's a bristlecone. And right over here, this guy is a single-leaf pinyon pine. They are mixed in with a non-coniferous species, mountain mahogany up here. But isn't this just gorgeous? A lovely winter day. And the spring mountains are really amazing because those sharp elevational changes and general ruggedness also means that you can really see the difference that a slope aspect, or the direction a slope is facing, can have on the tree density and species present. So here on the South Sister, we are currently on a southern aspect slope, which means it's a lot more arid, and you can see that in the terrain. But if we look at the slopes on the opposite kind of hills, you can see that there are a lot more trees. They are more dense, and they are, in this area, primarily composed of ponderosa pine and white fir. All of this is, a big system that impacts the future of where we are going to be able to find these trees, how well they're going to persist into the future, and what managers can expect in the future. So thank you again to the American Conifer Society for funding part of this research, and I hope you enjoyed this beautiful vista. Thank you.